Hello, everybody out there, and hello for joining me tonight on a special edition of Rock Chat with Black Spinner here at the Black Spinner Circle, and on my Facebook page, and also being broadcasted on the Rock and Roll podcast as well. Today we're going to be talking about the 2022 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees. Now, these nominees came out this past Thursday, and there were a lot of surprises here. I'm going to pick my 5 or 6 choices that I believe should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, let me get to this point here. When it comes to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it seems to be these days that they are going over different. They're now serving different genres, which, it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're letting different genres in, but will they let rock bands get into different Hall of Fames? Like would they let Judas Priest be nominated at the R&B Hall of Fame? No, they won't. But it seems that we are having a lot of different genres get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, there's a broad structure and a broad definition for the word and genre rock and roll. I understand that. But right now, it just seems to be stretched out to the outer limits where it's not really rock and roll. They should change the name to maybe the Music Hall of Fame. But we'll talk about what the bands and the artists that I believe should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Bob Rowe for the Rock and Roll podcast would like to see Duran and Judas Priests. Now, one of those I agree with. Duran, I guess so. I just haven't heard their music that much. I'm not a big Duran kind of guy. But they've got a big fan base and they've released a lot of albums. But let's get to my choices. I've got 5 choices that I'm thinking of putting in there. The first one that I would put in there would be Dionne Warwick. She ranks among the 40 biggest U.S. hit makers from 1955 to 1999. That's a pretty big, broad time where she's been on there. Also, she's also the second most charted female vocalist between 1955 and 1999. But this is what I'm talking about. She's in let's see here. She's also in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, also a Grammy Hall of Fame, R&B Music Hall of Fame, Grammy Lifetime Achievements. So there's all these different ones that she's already been inducted to, different halls. So why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for her? I mean, I can understand it for her. Well, let me backtrack, because back in the late 60s into the 70s, she was in different genres. And pop rock was where she really made her bread and butter with. So that's why I would put her in there, because she was in the pop rock avenue. And my second, which really my number one choice again, was going to be Judas Priest. Judas Priest is a heavy metal outfit that have sold over 50 million copies. And they have been recording from early 70s. I want to say 71 or 72. And the last album was almost 20. I want to say 2019. I might be wrong with that year. But Judas Priest, they've sold over 50 million copies, and they're one of the greatest heavy metal bands of all time. And the reason why they should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame also is because they are one of the best in their genre. And the genre of heavy metal is a genre that is a rock and roll band. and they certainly do deserve to be in there. They've been nominated back in 2018 and 2020. Hopefully 2022 will be the year this year that where they finally make it. And my next choice for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is going to be Lionel Richie. Lionel Richie, of course, is in the R&B category. He made his name known with the Commodores, but also, you know, in the 80s and I'm sorry, in the early to mid 80s, Lionel Richie was a force to be reckoned with on pop radio. You see, there again, we go into pop radio. He wasn't pop rock; he was R&B pop. But you know, his name is in there, and you know, if I'm going to go with the list that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame have put out there as nominees, he certainly deserves to be in there if you're putting him against these other names. And also, to talk about him a little bit more, he was one of the leaders in the USA for Africa movement for "We Are the World." He did write that along with Michael Jackson, but Lionel Richie was the main driving force in that. And my next choice for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is Pat Benatar. Pat Benatar is a female pop rock vocalist that was very big in the early 80s, and she has sold over 35 million albums. And she's still touring the world. She had numerous hit albums and a lot of hit songs. So Pat Benatar, I think she's been nominated before, but she just hasn't made it up to that point with being inducted. So hopefully this will be the year that she will be inducted. Now, there's a couple of bands and names that I'm going to go through and the reasons why they should not be inducted. I know that's hard to say, but one is because all these artists, of course, have given up their lives to give their life to music. But, you know, this is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And once you get inducted to the Hall of Fame, that means that you are the greatest of what you're doing. You just don't get in just because you served your time or because you're a popular name. It's because you're the best at what you do. Now, Rage Against the Machine, I believe, should not be inducted. And I love Rage Against the Machine. You know, they are one of my favorite bands. I've got all of their music. I own everything by them, live albums, but they only made 3 albums and 3 albums of original music and 1 album of covers and 1 live album. That's just not enough output to put somebody into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I will say the same thing about Guns N' Roses, one of my favorite bands, but you know, they got in because of Appetite for Destruction, or they also got in because, hey, look at that, I've got a guest to join me in my rambling. This is great. Let me introduce him. And here we are with Mr. Louis Vargas. Hey there, Louis.
Hey, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. You know me. I'm just gonna talk and talk and talk until somebody joins me.
I just walked in from work, man.
Oh no. I completely understand. I was kind of late on getting on too because I was watching America Says with my pets. So I don't know if you know this, but we are live now. I went ahead and started. But you know the category, which is going to be the 2022 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees. And thanks a lot for joining me. I know that they just got home from work. You know, people are tired. But thanks for taking the time out to join me in this. Bob Rowe was supposed to come on here, but he's got a toothache. So he's going to be joining us in the chats.
I saw that.
Okay. So I was talking about my inductees, and then we'll go over yours as well. But I've got so that you can get settled in. I got Dionne Warwick, Judas Priest, Lionel Richie, and Pat Benatar. I know that I wanted 5 or 6, but I just couldn't pull out anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't. Like I was saying before you got on. When you hear the words Hall of Fame, you're thinking of the best of the best.
Uh-huh.
The the best of genres, or the best of, or the innovators, or something that is just so fantastic. And and also, they seem to be would they seem to be diluting the words rock and roll. And they're letting a lot of artists that are great, but they belong in different Hall of Fames. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's your take on that? I know it's been a big controversy. Well, this band or this artist is not rock and roll. They're pop, or they're R&B, or they're rap, but they're being inducted.
I heard when I watched and when they inducted Kiss,
Hmm.
and Paul Stanley said that the spirit of rock and roll was about doing what you feel like you should do as an artist or a musician, or as a musician, right? Because it's about music.
Right.
And then he said something like, for the same reasons they kept us out are the same reasons we're being inducted. And some of these guys, for years, um, it's kind of like, what do they really do? Is because rock and roll is a little bit more on the rebellious side of everything, right? I mean,
Right. Yeah.
it's about not going with the flow. It's about being who you are. It's about
It's
not
it's an
doing,
attitude, a lifestyle.
not being the status quo
Right.
as well. But um, that's what supposedly is a philosophy behind rock and roll. But then when I hear rock and roll, I don't think of rap artists, or I don't think other genres fit into the parentheses of rock and roll. You see what I'm saying? Because that's just where. Why don't we just call it a music hall of fame?
Yeah. I mean, if they're going to do that. And before you got on, I was talking about Dionne Warwick. She's in the Grammy Hall of Fame, the Songwriters Hall of Fame,
Mm-hmm.
Grammy Hall of Fame. She's on all these different Hall of Fames already. The
Uh-huh.
R&B Hall of Fame.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
why does I mean, she's great, and I think that she did. I might as well, off the list that they gave us. But why? But why is she on the list?
Yeah.
And it's not a knock against her, because she's a great vocalist. I love her singing, and she
Mm-hmm.
really delivers her songs with a lot of conviction.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, and you have a lot of bands out there. I know that this has been beaten to death, but there's a lot of rock and roll bands out there, true rock and roll, that haven't even been inducted, and they've been
Or
at it for
considered,
about, huh?
or even considered that I know
Yeah,
of. Grand Funk Railroad.
exactly.
Man, when I saw the Grand Funk Railroad reunion back in '97, it was either '97 or '98. They came to Houston two times within like a 6-month period, and they had petitions going around to get them in, nominated or inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
And they're not even, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know if it's political. Most of me says yes, it's political, or maybe about half of them. Because like MC5, for instance, they're kind of they may have been innovated or trendsetters, or you understand what I'm saying, right? I mean, and that's how they
oh yeah.
feel. Now, do I know any of those songs? If they're songs, can I sit here and just spit out, lyrics to anything? No, but I've watched some documentaries about them, or where they were included.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Matter of fact, it was a guitar player. I think it was Dale something another, and he like was the first golly, he was a part Native American also.
Dick Dale?
Dale something another, or is it? He did that song, brown, 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 dum, 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 dum. It just that's all it was, and it was like the first time like Jimmy Page heard it, and he was like, there was that other movie where it says it might get loud or something with Jimmy
Okay.
Page, The Edge, and it was a Jack White, and
Right.
Jimmy Page pulled out a record, and he says here, this like this was his inspiration for playing, and he played that. I can't think of the guy's name.
Oh, well,
But
Dick Dale was like
Dick Dale,
a surf guitarist back in the early 60s.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I saw this documentary with him, but MC5 was included because them guys were pretty radical and they were pretty loud and
Yeah.
they were pretty obnoxious and all that kind of stuff. So I could see that, but I don't know. We can't even call it rock and roll. You know,
Huh?
when it comes to some of the other ones like Lionel Richie, which I love Lionel Richie.
Oh, yeah. So do I. And before you got on there, I said I might as well put in Lionel Richie in there because he was big in the 70s and the 80s and with USA for Africa. And he was part of the pop rock scene, I guess. But again, that's stretching it. He can be in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. He
Sure.
could be in the R&B Hall of Fame. He
Yeah.
could be in the Motown Hall of Fame.
Right.
And MC5. I didn't mention MC5 because their shelf life was very short.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm the same reason. I love Rage Against the Machine, but they only made 3 albums and plus 1 covers album. That's a small taste when you have other bands like Iron Maiden that has been doing this for a very long time. And they're not even nominated this year.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking of that as well. Like, and they deserve it.
Oh yeah.
Their shelf life. I mean, come on, they still sell out places.
Yeah, they still sell out places. They've been at it since 1980.
100,000, people in these soccer stadiums on the other side of the world.
Oh yeah.
From here.
They're still doing it. Yeah, all because here in America they sell out like here in America they sell out arenas.
Yeah.
Around the world they sell out stadiums.
Oh yeah. The Doningtons.
In Europe, and Mexico, South America, stuff like that. But I just don't understand what the thinking behind a lot of these inductees are.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, and even that kind of left me a little, they could have done better. It was like, but, it is what it is. But what are your inductees? I mean, like, who would you vote for if you were in the voting on?
If I had something to do with it?
Huh?
If I had something to do with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Benatar.
Yeah.
Duran. Judas Priest. That would probably be it.
Well, yeah. You see, I didn't add Duran into mine.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been talking to a lot of people, and a lot of people do have Duran on their list.
Yeah.
Now, they do have a fan voting on there.
Yeah.
And they do add that in there. And I looked at it yesterday to see who was in first place.
Uh-huh.
And Eminem is in first place.
Yeah.
And Judas Priest, MC5, the New York Dolls aren't even close to they're not even close to being in the top 6.
It's pretty sad, huh?
Yeah. That rock and roll, that these bands pretty much made famous because of rock and roll aren't even being close to being in there, and we have I don't know if you know Eminem or heard of any Eminem, but I've heard a couple of albums, but those were, a long time ago. It was his first two, and they were just okay. It was
Yeah,
nothing groundbreaking or anything that made me go, "Oh my god, this is amazing." No, it was just like,
yeah.
"Oh, okay."
I don't see any of his records on your shelf back there behind you either.
No, no, I don't have any Eminem back here at all, or inside my CD collection.
Well, look, man.
Hmm.
Maybe there's a lot of people out there that are like us that are saying, "What does it matter? What does it matter if I vote or not?" Almost like elections, like real elections, right? I mean, it just doesn't matter. For me, um, Ed Zeppelin, Kiss, Metallica, Johnny Cash, any of those greats had been in or out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it wouldn't move me at all because, dude, like those kinds of bands have never really needed anybody's approval, did they?
No, no, of course not. No.
And they're still, I played a Johnny Cash tribute. They still want to be heard.
Yeah, yeah.
The radio stuff. I mean, we know what that's about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't even know who is a Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, A Tribe Called Quest is a fantastic rap band. Um, Late '80s into the mid '90s. They were out of the Bronx.
Oh,
Yeah. A Tribe Called Quest. And what was fantastic about them in a rap band is that they didn't use that much samples. They pretty much used a lot of, they used jazz samples and more instruments in their music.
like live music. I
Yeah,
can hear
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'm sure if I heard some, I'd go, "Oh yeah, I know that song. I heard that."
Yeah.
Back when I used to strip.
Yeah, right. But yeah, Tribe Called Quest was a fantastic band, and I like them too, and I've got some of their CDs.
Oh yeah,
But yeah,
but
for the rock and roll,
rock and roll.
yeah, it's just not rock and roll. And would they let Kiss inside the hip hop Hall of Fame? Of course not.
Well, one song would probably work. All hell's breaking loose, but yeah, they wouldn't let them in.
No.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Isn't it about it's very it's a conversation you got to be careful about, I guess, because we really don't have a lot of freedom of speech anymore. But it's like, is it about inclusion? Is it about the Me Too, or what's it all about? Because it's supposed to be about. I think of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think about Buddy Holly. I think about Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
I think about Richie Valens. Some of I think some of the outlaw country artists from way back, of course, could deserve to be in there because they were outlaws. They did what they wanted to do. That was the spirit of it. A lot of this stuff could probably be prefabbed music, radio music. It could is designed to be a hit. Hey, have you ever noticed that some of these new kids that are coming out now, I call them kids, right? They come out stars. There was no working their way up. They're already established verses. And I'm
cool.
Like that's already, you're going to be the next star, kid. And they are. They put them on the radio. They make videos. They will run the videos in a rotation where it's once an hour or whatever. And then, sorry.
Oh, well, like in what genre? Like what band?
Oh, yeah, I don't know, hip hop. You got your Justin Timberlake's, all that kind of stuff, which they still get included. That's why I'm bringing this up. They still get included.
I got something to say about that too.
Versus Iron Maiden going through several lineups.
Yeah.
Kiss, for instance, all three of their first albums flopped. Nobody got them. Nobody cared. They wore makeup and they were a bunch of clowns.
Yeah.
Dude, it would be Crocus or Metallica. Metallica, they were playing some very undesirable music. That stuff was pretty much underground in those days, like real heavy punk.
Yep.
And so on and so on. But I'm talking about working your way up. And then like when Duran came out, I couldn't stand him. You know what I'm saying? And then as I developed as a musician a little bit,
especially a bass player.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Then I started really appreciating him. And then I joined a band some years ago. They were called the Clones, and then they changed their name to Pilots and Play. But I had to learn Rio, dude. I mean, and I worked on that song hard, man, because that guy is just a fabulous bassist. And then when some of the brothers went off and did the Power Station, and they really turned loose, I was like, yeah, these guys rock. And so, you know, I could. That's why I could go along with Duran.
Yeah, yeah, and I can completely understand because they could be considered like pop alternative rock.
Yeah,
Duran. But you were talking about today's music being forced down our throat, and you know, it all sounds the same. It seems like it's the same producer and the same music, just a different pretty face in front of the screen.
They're formulated.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy at work, grew up together. We're friends in fourth grade, and he was telling me, he says, have you noticed some of the new songs are like Tejano progressions? And I was like, yeah. I mean, and my response was, they don't put effort into making good music.
No.
They don't, do key changings, or they don't do what they call modes, where the song just takes off into another area and then turns. You don't have a Stairway to Heaven where there's 3 parts to the song.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a Kashmir where it's just an epic song, and still classic rock radio will play it today from Led Zeppelin.
Right.
Any Beatles, like good harmonies. Most of the harmonies are auto-tuned.
Yeah. And also there's a lot of bands out there. I've mentioned this before too. There's a lot of bands out there in every genre, even rock. There are new bands, but we don't know who they are. Mm-hmm. Like Motley Crue, we knew it was Mick Mars, Nikki Sixx, Tommy Lee, and names. Yeah, but we don't know names. We don't have anyone in the band to stick to, like Slash and Axl Rose and Duff. There's just, we hear new bands. We're like, oh well, it sounds okay, but who's playing drums?
Sure.
Sometimes we love bands because you love Cliff Burton, because you loved his bass, or the character of these bands are getting lost. And I don't know if it has to do with streaming music. During the past week, because I stream a lot on Apple, I really have thought about just disconnecting my stream, and not because of the Neil Young thing. No, it's nothing like that. But sometimes I feel like I'm cheapening music myself by taking music for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I? As y'all can tell, I've got a lot of physical music, which I come home and I'm able to listen to it. But sometimes I stream, and maybe I should stop doing that. Maybe I would appreciate it a little bit more. And maybe that's where the appreciation for music is going away. It's just that it's so easy to stream. Imagine being a kid at this age and just typing up Beatles and just picking a song. It won't be as special as going to the store or having something in your hand.
I mean, dude, I remember like trying to save money or begging my mom to buy me a record. Or the trick, I would sit there and just look through the records, or we go to the mall.
Yeah.
And I'd say, Mom, I'm gonna go to the record shop or whatever. And I'd go to the record shop, it would be Cactus or Hastings or something. And I would wait there, and you know how moms can shop, right? And they shop a long time. But I'd wait in that record shop until she returned or came looking for me.
Yeah.
And she would say, well, what are you looking at? And I said, well, I want this. You think you can buy me this? And those days are just gone. There's nothing special about a CD. And the artists don't make a lot of money either. They get like a something like 1 point. There's a percentage of a cent every time a song is spun. And
so why bother on making albums? Why bother if they're not going to sell? Billy Joel was touring with Elton John, and Elton John was telling Billy Joel, your set lists are getting boring. Why don't you make some new music? And Billy Joel told him, there's no money in it. Mm-hmm. Who cares if Billy Joel releases an album? He says, I would rather tour with these songs.
Yeah.
He said it's a waste of time for me to record an album, and really, who's going to buy it? It's not going to sell more than 100,000 units.
Yeah.
So
Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons say the same thing.
you might as well get four.
But however, I'll show you something. Hold
on. Hi there, Depeche Mode and Duran. I see you. Power Station. Motley Crue should be in as well. Yes, Motley Crue should be in there as well. You're so right about that.
Let me see here. So, the box.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
what is it?
So there are some artists that when they put something out for sale, but it's got to be that special artist. I actually bought some vinyl.
Wow! Did you really?
Can you see that? Let's see.
You see, that's what I'm talking about. The cover is so important, and now people just have a picture on the telephone screen. But what is it?
My first time opening this, by the way. It was still in a box. It came in last year. This is Ace Frehley's Origins 2.
Part 2.
Yeah, where he covers like some Zeppelin and everybody. He's got Robin Zander singing on this.
Yes, he does 30, was great.
30 Days in the Hole.
Yeah.
He does that. He does Lola, Manic Depression. Oh, he's got, what's her name? I went to a party last Saturday night. Little Ford. He's on here. He does Jumpin' Jack Flash, some Beatles. I'm down. I'll order this online at least because I know I can't go buy this.
Yeah, you can.
So there's some artists out there. I'll go out and buy some vinyl. I haven't even opened it. Joshua opened his because I bought him one too.
Okay.
I buy them because I collect them. But do we still have that, or is music just passé for everybody? Is there any passion? Do the fans carry any passion? See, everything is just so accessible now, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, if I didn't go to work, money would mean nothing. Not that it's everything, you understand, but it's hard to throw away. There's got to be some investment, like you said.
Yeah. Of course there's record stores that I go to. There's the one on right down the street from me on Luetta and 249 called Sound Revolution.
Oh yeah, there's one around the corner for me, like 6 blocks.
Yeah. In fact, that's the flagship of them. That's the big one.
Yeah.
And they sell new stuff on there, and every Friday when there's new releases, they have new releases. So when I buy new vinyl, I go there. And they've also got CDs and cassettes and
I used to go there too because I used to live right there behind Klein High School.
Yeah.
I bought some CDs there as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to go to that one near your house, but then I went to Half Price Books and I went to Half Price Books, and even though they sell used vinyl, they do have some new stuff. So I was able to score a Pearl Jam from there. Oh, cool. Yeah, so the new music is out there. People just have to go get it. But why go get it when they can just type it up on their phone and already have it right there?
Yeah, I kind of like it for the reason of when I'm driving.
Yeah.
So, how that people remember we used to make a mixtape, or something.
Or carry our CDs with us. We had a stack of CDs.
You could ask my wife. She's your friend. I have CDs all over the car, man.
I would carry so much CDs in my car, and then, I do streams so that I can hear it in the car. Because believe it or not, your wife works with me. She knows that I've tried to plug in a portable record player in my car, and it didn't work out too well. I hit every bump, and it just didn't work out.
No, you don't want to do all that.
No. But I tried.
That's hilarious.
But it's I hope that music will revert itself back to the way that it was, but I don't see it. I know that there's a lot of new bands coming out. There's always new music to be had.
Yeah.
But for how much longer will bands want to keep doing this? We're talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's what new bands will be in there in the next 20 years?
I mean, who's going to be the next Chicago? Nobody.
Nobody.
Who's going to be the next Zeppelin? No one. No one can be those people. I always tell people, everyone's got their own thumbprint regarding music or musicianship or their vocals or whatever it is. I mean, I love Ace Frehley, but I'll never be able to just perfectly emulate them. How long are the new bands going to hold on?
With because our favorite bands went on for a long time because they were able to sell millions.
Yeah.
And tour for millions.
Right.
Right now, there are no new bands that are hot today or that are even going to sniff 1 million units.
Yeah.
There's no way.
So what's the point? What are they going to do when they run out of old people to put in there? And I don't mean that in a harsh way, like old people. I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
what they're going to eventually run out.
Yeah,
of great artists.
Yeah, because eventually Judas Priests and all these are going to have to go in there because there's going to be no one left to put in there. Like I was saying, who's going to go in there in the next 20 years? And like Depeche Mode Duran was just saying is that you can listen to the whole album of anybody on YouTube for free.
Mm-hmm.
It's just download it.
Yeah.
So, I know that this was supposed to be about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but now it's turning into the state of not just rock and roll, but the state of music.
Right.
We make a big deal when some pop artist like Beyonce, who needs like 8 or 9 people to write one song. I mean, if you saw her last album, the writing credits came out to 7 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did, And it took that many people, or that many people wanted a piece of the pie.
Uh-huh.
And I'm also, we were talking about, the old bands that went in there already, like the Buddy Hollies and the Elvises. Like the Beatles didn't make it until the 3rd year that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was open because they waited their turn. They let all, back then the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame did it right. They let all the pioneers in.
Right.
Like all the old blues guys from the 30s and 40s. I mean, the ground roots.
Yeah. The beginning of rock and roll.
Yeah. And then we got, like, I love Guns N' Roses, but really Appetite for Destruction. And that's about it. Oh, well, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 are good, but it's not Hall of Fame worthy.
They're okay. They're not as good as Appetite for Destruction.
Oh, no. But what I'm saying is that they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with those 3 album outputs.
You got room for another guest?
Yeah, I do.
Joshua?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
I'm gonna forward the link to him.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, sure, of course. I would love to get his take, especially who's joining us now is going to be Lewis's younger son, Joshua. He just turned 16 a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Let me just holler at him. Hold on a second.
Yeah, sure.
I sent you the link. Or else you can come sit with me.
So Depeche Mode and Duran. Who is your favorite artist that you support?
And this particular lineup here, you talking about?
What?
You talking about this year's nominees?
Yeah.
Well, the list I'm looking at, I don't even see Depeche Mode.
Oh no! It's someone named Depeche Mode Duran who's following us on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just answering their questions. They've been with us since the beginning. That's great. But yeah, like who's going to go in there in the next 20 years? And if this pisses us off, in 20 years, it's really going to piss us off who's going in there. How really? Yeah. So did you send Josh that link?
Yeah, he's probably trying to figure it out. Let me see.
Depeche Mode
Mine was still set up from the last time.
Yeah, sure, of course. I don't want to believe that music is dead. I really don't. Oh no, some that the Petro Duran says that music is dead. I hope not. I don't think so. I think Slash was interviewed yesterday and said that he has a lot of hope for a couple of young bands.
Uh-huh.
Like Dirty Honey, which I've seen live, which was you know they've got that newer Black Crows kind of sound. And also what's missing from rock music, I just keep on going on and on, is new bands no longer know how to play guitar solos.
Oh, dude, that got lost in grunge.
Well, no, grunge had a lot of good garage, good solos.
Like name a good guitar solo from Nirvana.
Oh, well, I wasn't going to say Nirvana.
Oh.
I was gonna say Mike McCready from Pearl Jam.
Yeah,
you can
he's
also
good.
you can also go Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains. You can go Jay Mascis from Dinosaur Jr. You can go with the DeLeo brothers from STP. They weren't the guitar heroes. They weren't Eddie Van Halen. They were not Randy Rhoads. Of course not. They weren't Tony Iommi, but they had skills at their guitars. Right now, what they're taking in place of guitar solos are now the guitar is just the rhythm of the song. It's not even it's just the rhythm of it. And you know what I mean? It's just the rhythm guitar and no one really stretching out. If there are bands that are doing that, they're being called stoner rock or they're like classic rock, and it's just being ruined by pretty much the media. Seems like the media ruins everything.
Speaking of stoner rock,
Who?
Queens of the Stone Age, pretty cool.
Huh?
What are they called? Queens of the Stone Age?
Yes, Queen with with Josh Homme.
Yeah.
And if you remember, Josh Homme was also. Hey, Josh.
Hey.
How's it going, man? Welcome.
Thank you. It's going good.
Oh, it's going all right. But Josh Homme was also in Them Crooked Vultures with John Paul Jones and Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl needs to stay in one place.
Dave Grohl just needs to pay attention to doing Foo Fighters stuff, because I don't know if you saw the trailer, but Foo Fighters made a movie.
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't know.
Yeah, it's coming out in the next couple of weeks. It's about they're going to record an album inside a haunted house. It's like a comedy. It's like an acting movie. It's not a documentary. It's a movie with a script and everything.
Doing the Beatle thing.
Yeah. A lot of people that I was talking to were talking about the Kiss movie, the Kiss version of the Kiss movie. And
Detroit Rock City movie?
No. I remember
Phantom of the Park.
Phantom of the Park.
Yeah. I remember watching that when I was a kid. I was trying to YouTube it, but I can't.
Why not?
It won't let me.
Oh.
Yeah, they won't stream on YouTube.
It just shows like pieces of it, but I don't want to pay for it. You see, I was just complaining about people not wanting to pay for music. Now I don't want to
put any more money in Gene's pocket.
I think Gene's got plenty of money.
I think he needs to put me on his taxes, because I've given that dude a lot of money myself.
Hey Josh, so we're talking about the where music is today, and since you're 16, where do you think music lies? I know your taste in music, but do your friends have the same kind of taste in music, or is it different? Or do they value music as much as you do?
I've got a handful of friends who have a very similar taste in music, and we'll put that same value over, Eddie Van Halen, Dimebag, and on all the greats. But it's hard to put. It's hard to put into perspective what the genre is, because that everybody's going to these days, because it's been a long time that music's been out there. There's a lot of subgenres. There's a lot of things going on right now. and when everything is, like you guys were saying earlier, just so easily accessible.
Yep.
At any point in time, your whole category of things that you listen to could change.
Yeah. Or you don't even have time to get invested in a band because in a couple of days you can hear their whole discography and either like it or say, I've already heard it. I'm just going to move on.
Yeah, but there's a plus side to that, I think, and I think that's like, Guns N' Roses. They released 2 albums that were just nothing but fillers back to back, and maybe 1 or 2 good songs in there, and you had to buy that entire album just to hear that 1 or 2 good song, and in an album full of fillers.
Are you talking about the Use Your Illusions 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was fun.
Yeah.
You heard. Let's go back to the '80s for a moment.
Yeah, of course.
Like for instance, when my favorite bands were coming out, which was probably at the time, it was Just Kiss. But I saw Iron Maiden in those days, so I can still qualify. However, MTV would release that video, but the album had not been released yet. You know what you remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
They would go to world premiere video, and you sat in front of MTV at 7:00 when they promised it, and then it comes out, and then the album is released. Then you go down to the record shop and you buy that album because that one song that you saw on MTV just kicked ass, right? Because that was your most favorite band.
Yeah.
And then, like Joshua said, you had to buy one album, the whole album, or if you bought the single. Because remember, they sold them on singles, little 45s.
Yeah, the 45s, and then they even did the maxi cassettes.
Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
How boring that was.
And in fact, I got Prince 1999 on cassette, and the flip was, I forgot what it was. I think it was America on the flip side on that.
You could only flip the record over so many times, or that little mini cassette. But those were great days.
Yeah, like these right here.
Yeah.
You would have to hear one song and then get up and flip it.
I gotta want to hold your hand on a 45 like that.
Oh, really? I got several Beatles here on a 45s. Actually,
I think
those you for 1,000.
I think we got Ace to sign our Shock Me and
we got Ace
and Talk to Me. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Ace are buddies.
So Depeche Mode, Duran wants to know our top 5 artists to make it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I only had 4. I had Dionne Warwick, Judas Priest. Who else did I have on there? Lionel Richie and Pat Benatar. Where I couldn't even make it to 5. Depeche Mode, Duran.
Yo, Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden wasn't nominated this year.
Yeah, we're talking about the nominees this year, Josh.
Of this year. Yeah. Last year, I almost guessed them all, except for I had thought Iron Maiden would make it, but the Go-Go's got in instead of them. Ugh.
That's terrible.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
The Go-Go's.
Man, Belinda Carlisle was cute, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were cute, but that doesn't mean. And they had three albums before they fell off into the whiskey cocaine binges of the rest of their lives.
Well, where's rock and roll without whiskey and cocaine? Come on.
Well, you got to keep on going.
Yeah, right. To sober up.
That's when their music would start to be horrible after they sobered up. They're like, ugh, what are they doing?
Hey, we actually suck.
They're horrible now.
Yeah. For me, again, it would be the only ones I could pull off this year's list that I would like to see make it would be Pat Benatar. I mean, just talk about her for a moment.
Yeah, of course. Please
she
go
could
ahead.
just do it. Her vocal range was incredible. She trained in opera. She put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that drove me crazy. Like, say, let's compare Pat Benatar to Nirvana.
All right.
Just for this reason.
Okay.
Boy played the guitar 3 years and he made it. But you got someone who trained, put in the time, honed her craft, and then reaped the rewards. That's what I care about. What I care about is those that even can still do it I go see Chicago. I go see Deep Purple, Alice
Yeah.
Cooper,
We
whatever.
all want to see
They're
that, yeah.
still doing it, and it moves me to see the pioneers, even the ones that just want to keep playing. Because I know this, I decided that I'm going to play until I die.
Yeah.
I will never quit.
So I hear a lot of. Are you not a Nirvana fan, or are you not a grunge
It's
fan?
not that I dislike them, and they just never impressed me.
Okay.
But I do like about 2 or 3 of the songs. All Apologies is one of my favorites from them, actually.
Yeah.
I
that's a great song.
actually do dislike them.
Do you?
Yeah, I can respect them, but I could never like them.
And like, why?
I think that they were. It bothers me that they kind of took over that genre and kind of took over the rock and roll scene, and they didn't put in a whole lot of work. Though I think David was awesome, and
Yeah. Mhm.
and they kind of. The reason I can respect them really is they found a formula that worked for them, and it worked really well. But they kind of abused the formula, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Now, would it be them that killed that genre, or was it the media that jumped on this grunge bandwagon, and music fans just went ahead and followed what the media was telling them, and they
Nope.
left
I don't think
other bands behind?
I don't think anybody could wake up and say, you know what, today I'm killing rock and roll. I think
Right.
that God, what was that guy's name from Nirvana?
Kurt Cobain.
Yeah. I think Kurt Cobain, he decided to make music that he liked, and
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons I can respect him. And I think he drew a lot of emotion from it, which probably helped them to make it very popular.
Yeah.
And they made what they liked, and people liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. But when people, or like when a lot of people believe that they killed that fun loving hard rock scene, I really think the media had a lot to do with it, because the media is always in with the new and out with the old.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you have to think too, like the people who are in charge of putting these corporations out and putting these music videos out. Do you think they really like Nirvana? I don't see that they could have, but I think they could have looked at statistics and said, "Well, this is trending. Let's make it trend."
Yeah, and that's when any kind of genre starts to get watered down, is when they start to create bands.
They mainstream it.
Of mediocre people to try, and that happens with every genre. Like, how many Beatle clones were there when it came out with the British invasion, and with hard rock of the 80s? I mean, they threw in so many different bands that you're like, wow, why are these guys on MTV?
Yeah.
It
You had
with everything.
Cinderella and Britney Fox.
And Lily and Max.
Yes, Lily and Max. And you had your Beatles, and you had the Monkees.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I love the Monkees.
Or the Stones, which those two they did it though. But I like the Monkees too. Don't get me wrong. But you had a or like the car business. I wonder how every year they put out a car. A Ford will put out a car that resembles a little bit of the Chevy, that resembles a little bit of the Dodge or the Ram. Like all the Oldsmobiles in the 80s, Oldsmobile, let's see, the Cutlass Supreme, the Buick, and all those, really cool cars, the money cars, they all had the same body style.
Yeah.
It's
but a different name.
It's decided. I mean, how could they just go off and say, well, this was my idea? It looks like your idea.
Or like, this is the Delta 88. This is the Delta 98.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So would you say that everything gets diluted after a while? Everything does.
Well, it's like what Joshua says. If it works, let's keep doing it.
Yeah. If I can squeeze one more dollar out of this, let's make that genre worse, or let's try to get as much as we can, even from the bottom of the barrel.
Well, the human being, there's so many human beings There's enough human beings to love every awful thing out there. Get it?
I get it. Yeah.
Hey, and what we think is great, somebody else thinks is awful.
Well, yeah. And somewhere out there, there's someone wearing a Britney Fox T-shirt. I'm sure there is.
That's a really sad thought.
Agree with their songs, but
Or waiting for Britney Fox to come tour or go to M83 or something.
Yeah.
They tour every year. They tour for a reason.
Yeah.
That's a really sad thought, though. Somebody somewhere is wearing a Britney Fox shirt. That's really sad.
I got one in my closet.
But when it came to grunge music in the 90s, I was in high school when all that came out. So that was my big time music for me.
How old are you, Andrew?
Coming out. Huh?
How old are you, bro?
I'm just a couple years younger than you. Yeah, I am 40.
Came out?
Huh? I'm 47.
When I was in high school, Appetite for Destruction came out.
You see,
So that's the late 80s.
Yeah, so I was in junior high when Appetite for Destruction came out.
Yeah.
Because it came out in 87.
Yeah.
When grunge shit, when grunge shit, 91, 92, 93, that was my sophomore, junior, senior year. That's when my music really started to gel. You know what I mean? I would go to shows and I would travel to shows, and that's where I really hit my stride in going to concerts.
Yeah.
Was during that time frame. So I always loved that kind of music. And because I still feel that the 90s were one of the best outputs of music.
Yeah.
70s and 90s. And we just say that grunge took over the 90s, but if you really pay attention and break down the 90s was a very good year for heavy metal. Pantera was hitting it big. Slayer was coming out with really good releases.
Metallica just released the Black Album, 91, right?
The Black Album, which shot out to the masses. Megadeth was releasing their best albums were released in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's easy for me to say to almost deny what you're saying, but if I go back and think really hard, I just quit paying attention. Because I got off into doing like Tejano music, and I joined with my friends made a Tejano band, and we took off that way. So I wasn't able to keep up with all that because I was succumbed by recording gigs, a little bit of touring, and stuff like that. Yeah,
but then you're bringing up Tejano in the 90s. Tejano in the 90s was one of the biggest genres at that time. With Selena and Los Dinos and Emilio and all those bands.
That's when Capital EMI, Sony, those two record labels went towards the Tejano genre. And because the record label I signed with first was a subsidiary of Capital EMI.
Oh wow, really?
So we recorded that CD and it was distributed by Capital EMI. And then the next one I recorded with was they weren't a mainstream label, but me and my buddies found out like, oh, Queensryche is on Capitol. We thought we were in a great company.
Yeah. And another band, Queensryche, was big in the 90s because they got pigeonholed in being I hate the term hair band, but they weren't even close because they were prog metal. They were prog metal.
They were a bit prog. I would say they were a bit prog.
Yeah.
And they were very distinct and very unique. Nobody was like them. But Crimson Glory took a shot. You remember them?
No.
You never heard Crimson Glory?
No.
They're pretty good.
But the vocalist was a kind of like doing a Jeff Tate thing.
Okay.
I think even he was maybe a better singer, or maybe that's just biased. I like very real big ranges because he did have a massive range.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And but yeah, Queensryche did what is it? Operation Mindcrime and Empire. I saw the Mindcrime tour and Empire.
Rage of Order was also another good album by them.
But it wasn't big.
No.
It's like Presence from Led Zeppelin. It was just kind of like
Yeah.
to
And-
me. Anyways.
Yeah. And Queensryche was another band that came out of Seattle at that time.
But when they came out,
Yeah.
they rocked.
Yeah.
That EP with the Lady Wore Black, the Queen of the Rye, and then they came out with the Warning, with Take Hold of the Flame.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Something about the children. Something about the children. I forgot. Before the Storm, and that stuff was just a double bass and I mean, bro, I think that's one of my favorite albums. Those first two right there. So when they came out, they were rocking, and then they refined. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, they turned it more like into like we're talking about a
Yeah.
very technical. They're kind of what Dream Theater is now.
Yeah.
Is what Queensryche.
I think that if there was no Queensryche, there wouldn't have been a Dream Theater.
Oh no,
People may disagree, but
no, you're right about that.
yeah.
You know, when you have a very successful formula that kind of comes out, it's probably because somebody did it first. They set the stage for that.
Yeah.
Like like you hear a lot of metal going on where these guys are really just growling. That was kind of started probably by Gene Simmons and the singer from Pantera.
Yeah, but to the point where Phil, which is
Phil.
from Pantera,
Yeah.
he would scream, but you knew
what he was saying.
what he was saying. Right now,
Yeah.
it's just the scream, and
Yeah.
it's hard to follow the song because you don't know what they're singing about.
Yeah. But like I'm saying though, like if you listen to Phil, that was setting the stage for it. Much like if you listen to Queensryche at that time, they really set the stage for Dream Theater. Though you can hear the difference, they set that up for them.
They're precursors, you know.
Yeah, precursor. Yeah, a precursor of it. But I forgot the singer for Dream Theater's name, but he doesn't come close to Jeff Tate, and Jeff Tate was at his peak.
Yeah.
And then it just got to the point where Empire was so big and so popular that Queensryche started to do that, to try to better themselves, and they became over dramatic. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it was just it was more of an act of the whole thing instead of being the musicians to it.
That happens so often.
Yeah,
Was that
very often. It happens very often. Like it happened with Kiss in '79 and '80, and then it happened with Metallica with Load and Reload.
Because they get so big, there's no one there to tell them no.
Yeah.
There's no one there to say, "Hey, guys, that's not a good idea. Let's reel it back in."
Yeah, like bringing. It's like bringing. It would have been like smart bringing Bob Rock back, or Bob Ezrin producing Destroyer, and then he helped them flop with music from the other. I'm talking about Kiss. I'm sorry.
Right. Oh no, that's fine. My dogs are here, but they're asleep.
And then, like you said, reeling it back, then they get Bob Ezrin to do the Revenge album, and dude, they got back to it. You ever listen to Kiss Revenge album?
Yes.
And man, they got back to the basics. They started playing metal. They started playing hard rock. There's Dream Theater. Queensryche did just that. Metallica did it too. The last one they just put out, Moth into the Flame.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that now. Yeah, they're being Metallica again.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Hardwired to Destruct.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Robert Rowe just commented that Kirk Hammett's coming out with an EP soon. I didn't know that.
He just did a recording also with Santana, with Carlos Santana. Did you see that?
I heard about it, but is it? Oh, you know what? It is out because it's on Santana's last album. Santana's last album was okay too.
they it's hard to distinguish who's playing. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
he really laid Kirk Hammett really laid it in there. A lot of wall pedal. A lot of, of course, a lot of people know he. Some people said, when is he ever gonna get off that wall? But man, if it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Anyway, Carlos Santana uses a lot of wall as well, so it's a pretty cool song, and it's not a political statement of the song, and it kind of is. It's kind of like let's just everything is trash out there. Anyways, you got to check it out. It's kind of like almost like a Rage Against the Machine type song.
Oh yeah,
what it's about.
I've heard the album a couple of times. I streamed it, but I didn't really pay attention to the words. I paid more attention to the
music.
Yeah, because when you listen to Carlos Santana, Kirk Hammett, you just want to hear them play, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I do need to check that out because there were a couple of there were a couple of songs on there that I did like.
Yeah.
That Santana did have special guests on, and it sounded pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
So, Josh, do you know, or have you looked at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees for this year?
I haven't, but I heard Judas Priests, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
I don't see how they'd get beat, really.
Well, like I was talking to your dad earlier, we were talking about the fan voting, and they're not even close.
Oh,
Eminem is number one right now.
I'm actually a really, really big Eminem fan.
Are you?
Oh yeah, but I don't know why he's gonna be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
But I like him a lot.
Yeah. So I was telling your dad that I liked his first two albums I did hear, and they were okay. So why is he being nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I mean, you're a fan of his, and you're also a fan of rock and roll.
Yeah.
So right here we could take 2 points of view.
It's rock and roll.
It's rock and roll.
if I would take a shot to say as to why, and I think it's real respectable, though his genre isn't really rock and roll. But I'm gonna kind of quote him very directly. He said he's doing an interview with Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre discovered him and he put him on the label. And they were doing a little press conference. I think they were maybe doing it for their second album. And they asked him about his lyrics being very controversial. He said, I want to try and get his quote as right as I can. He said, I tell it like it is, and I say whatever's on my mind. And if that makes me controversial, then so be it. But I say whatever's on my mind. And I think that's real, spirit of rock and roll. And I dig it a lot. But again, his genre isn't really, But I really, really do. I see the correlation, but it's not adjacent to rock and roll.
Right. So what you're saying is that his mindset and his attitude is a rock and roll attitude.
Yeah, I think like Alice Cooper said, rock and roll is about freedom. And he was talking about how a lot of musicians were getting real political, and he said he wasn't into it because rock and roll is about freedom, and when you're telling people what to think and how to think, then it's not very free at that point.
And it's not very rock and roll either.
No,
because it takes away from the meaning of rock and roll.
Yeah, I believe in expression, but I don't believe in expressing yourself onto others.
Right. I know exactly what you mean. So what they should do is change the title, like someone had said earlier on here, just to change it to Music Hall of Fame, and just have a big old melting pot. Because that's what they seem to be advocating.
Maybe they should. I mean, didn't they put Bone Thugs in already?
No.
No.
I
think didn't they try? Weren't they nominated a couple years back?
Nah, not Bone Thugs.
Not Bone Thugs?
Nah.
Well, I think it if they did change their name, and maybe they will in the future, which would be smart, but then it'd be pointless. Because then you just have another Grammys type thing where okay, these people are, and of course you're not celebrating an album, and you're not looking at people who are voting for which was the best, but essentially you're looking at every artist, and then you gotta kind of ask yourself, where do you draw the line? And then you're looking at a really big category. So I think if the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame wanted to do something like that, they could have a side project, which I think would be successful anyways. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame presents, fantastic musicians from the past type of thing.
Yeah, I can see that. But there's so many different Hall of Fames. There's already a Grammy Hall of Fame, a R&B Hall of Fame, a
Exactly.
country western Hall of Fame.
So if they make a music Hall of Fame, then what's the point of it now?
Yeah. So put those other artists in their corrected genres. Like Dolly Parton is up for this year. I love Dolly Parton. I think she's so talented. She's a great songwriter. She's been at it and she's paid her dues since the 60s. And she's still a very popular name and a popular draw. But I wouldn't put her in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm pretty sure she's already in the songwriters. Pretty sure she's in the country western.
Which I think she deserves.
You do?
Yeah, definitely. She deserves as a songwriter and as a country artist.
Yeah.
But it's same thing with Eminem. I don't know a whole lot about Dolly, but I like a lot of the songs I hear.
Right.
I don't think her attitude is very rock and roll to begin with. And of course, I don't buy that her genre is either.
Right. So, it's no disrespect to Dolly, but she can. I mean, she's already been inducted to so many different ones: the Grand Ole Opry, Songwriters, Country Western, Amusement Park Hall of Fame. So,
Nothing.
I think people that you could consider, from country to toss into the Hall of Fame, though they're labeled country. I think that's another list to get into, and I don't think Dolly's really on there. Like you got Johnny Cash.
He's already in there.
That who is that guy? The Charlie Daniels, was that him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he could be in there too, and different things like that. But I don't think Dolly's on that list.
No, you know what? I wonder if I was thinking about this a couple of days ago. If Willie Nelson is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
is he?
I don't know. I'm about to find out.
I don't think Willie belongs there.
I think so too, because he's been in the realms of music, and also he covers a lot of rock music and turns it into
country.
And I didn't want to even say into country, but he turns it into a Willie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like when Johnny Cash did that song "Hurt" by what was it, 9 Inch Nails or whatever.
Yeah.
That wasn't very country sounding. That was pretty dark.
That was very dark.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I went to go a few years ago, and upstairs they had the Johnny Cash display, and they kept on playing "Hurt" over and over. I think I heard it literally 9 or 10 times, and my wife finally said, "Why do they keep on playing the song over and over?" Because it was just in a loop. Like they can play at least "Ring of Fire" or anything else.
Right?
Yeah.
A boy named Sue or something?
Yeah. I'm just trying to find out about Willie Nelson because I'd be very interested in seeing if.
I mean, the Rebel and Willie Nelson ought to qualify him. And that's like Joshua said, is what I had said before he even came on. The spirit of rock and roll is about, of course, Joshua and I live in the same house.
Right. But no, he is not.
Oh, we need a competition.
People like they're saying Willie Nelson, Patsy Cline, Garth Brooks, and Dolly Parton are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Huh. And would it be hypocritical of us to say, well, they should be?
Yes.
All because we love Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
Of course.
Like I'm a big Eminem fan, but even I could say that if you want to toss him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it just kind of doesn't fit that way.
Yeah.
But I don't mind.
Right, exactly. I guess we have to make our own Hall of Fame. And I guess that's what it sounds like, just to have our own.
Yeah, your playlist decides that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Stick behind you, say what. And at the end of the day, that's just what it boils down to, isn't it? Just what we like to hear in our cars or in our house.
Yeah.
Because those things, at some point or another, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just stopped mattering. It just does it. You follow what I mean? It's just at that point, It's like, okay, this is bullshit. the whole misinformation thing. At one point or another, you're going to look at something long enough, and hopefully, if you're smart, and just say, yeah. But at the same time, I can watch the Kiss induction and cry like a little girl.
But then, but then again, maybe we're looking at these nominees and saying, "Well, I don't think they should be in there. They're not my favorite. Why is my favorite not going in there?"
Well, for me, no. For me, it's like rock and roll. But even those who did the work, I'm interested in the work. You know, if somebody compliments me and says, "Man," like a buddy of mine, this is a very good drummer. He wrote drum solos from my high school, and they won like state championships. I respect his opinion. He saw me. We hired him to play with me with the Elvis group, and he's like, "Louis, I can't believe you handle yourself this way. You know, like it's impressive to see you play this over here, but come and play this. But it's because I worked, and I deserve a compliment. Although I don't demand one. Don't get me wrong, right? Because I'm not.
You deserve it.
But you know, it's only natural or okay for someone to say, "Man, you do that well." Well, you know, I worked my ass off for this.
Yeah,
that's what I
like. You say you can play different genres. On Friday night, you're at a Tejano band, and then the next night you're in a heavy metal band, and after that you can be in a country western band.
Well, all three of those nights I can drink tequila if I want to.
But the thing, he can't he can't be in a hair metal band though. That's the thing.
Yes, I can. I got hair on my back.
All right, guys. So thanks a lot for joining me, Louis, and thanks a lot for joining me, Josh.
Yes, sir.
Let me know if you want to come back another time. I would really like to have you on here. I'll let your mom know topics that are coming up, or I'll reach out for you on Facebook if it's something you want to join us in. Any parting thoughts, Louis?
Yeah.
Sure.
I do.
Sure.
I want to mention the New York Dolls right quick.
Okay, yeah, of course.
Without them, we probably wouldn't have Kiss or Twisted Sister.
That's true.
However, I couldn't tell you what song they ever played.
That's what I was going to ask you. What is, I know they're famous and stuff like that, but
the only thing I a long time ago when MTV was early in its stages, I used to see a video from a singer named David Johansen.
Yep.
You remember him?
Oh, yeah.
And he'd covered the songs, I think, for the Animals. We gotta
get out of
this place. Yeah, and there was another one before that one.
And he also had an alter ego. Remember that?
No.
He was Buster Poindexter.
That's right.
Hot. Remember that song? I mean, that's
everywhere. Well, he was a singer for the New York Dolls.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I can tell you I know of him. So yeah. I think about influence, the work, the influence. How did Tom Morello say it? Impact.
Yeah.
You know, what brought change. But however, that's just kind of an honorable mention, only because they influenced one of my favorite bands, period.
Yeah.
But Judas Priest deserves it.
Yeah.
And Pat Benatar definitely deserves it. I like the Eurythmics, but they ain't doing it no more.
No, it was it's like I love Rage Against the Machine, but they just didn't. They just weren't in the ring long enough.
And I think Annie Lennox is fabulous.
Oh, I love Annie Lennox's awesome, voice.
But that's all I got, man. For closing statements. For closing arguments.
What about you, Josh? Do you got any closing statements that you want to say, or get something music related off your chest, or what's been on your mind about music recently?
Yeah. I told my dad in the car the other day. I think, as sad it will be, my room is covered with Kiss posters, and Kiss just did their End of the Road tour, and we saw them. That was great. But as sad as it'll be, I kind of am looking forward to the end of all of our favorites, for them to stop touring. Because what happens is you just keep going, oh, well, I can't wait for them to come back. You're not looking for nobody new. You're not trying to find it.
Well, I just became a Kiss fan in 2015.
Congratulations.
So I'm new, and I finally get to go see Kiss for my very first time coming up in May.
Yeah,
So I'm excited about that. Huh?
Yeah.
We're going to Florida, aren't we?
Please, let's go.
Yeah, I get in trouble, man. Anyway,
So, but yeah, I'll be going to Rockville here in which is going to be fun. The other headliners are Korn, Foo Fighters, Guns N' Roses,
yeah.
and the other bands, Megadeth, James Addiction, Smashing Pumpkins, stuff like that. So, and Clutch, I'm very excited to go see Clutch, which I'm not too sure if y'all are familiar with Clutch, but they're good prog rock from the 2000s.
I'd like to mention one band that I think they would be. I hope they're still playing.
Sure, of course. Who?
The Joshua and I saw open up for Deep Purple. Was Glorious Wolf, Josh?
Joyous Wolf.
Joyous
and
Wolf.
Yeah, they actually did just put something out recently, and it was pretty good, I think.
And in fact, that was one of the bands that Slash was talking about yesterday. Joyous Wolf.
Fantastic.
Was one of the bands that he had mentioned about having a feature and pushing rock and roll further into the future.
That's great. That's what I was looking for. I think there's them. I heard these guys called like Dirty Honey.
Dirty Honey. Like I saw them when they opened up for the Black Crowes.
Yeah, I think they need to be pushed forward, and I think that's the reason that I can't wait for. Well, not that I can't wait. I really can, but I think it's going to be promising for all of our favorites, all the giants of rock, to finally stop, because then we'll have no choice but to look for something new.
Yeah, and in fact, they're going to be in Florida too. Dirty Honey.
Joshua, there was another group. I'm sorry, Andrew. There was another group that you showed me one day here in the kitchen. Real hard rock band, not so much metal, but they had an album cover that was really funny. They're real cartoonish.
The Melvins? Old.
Oh.
Cartoonish.
You're not thinking of like My Chemical Romance, are you?
No, absolutely not. I think they're cool.
Yeah, I actually was listening to an album that they had, and man, it sounded like Iron Maiden, Metallica stuff, which I didn't expect from them.
I saw them live once. They opened up for Blink-182 when I saw them.
I kind of like them. Let me see if I can find it, because I think
I'm always trying to find new stuff. So I'm trying to. Hey, Lewis, I was telling you earlier about that TV channel that's got the videos Excite. They also have new videos on there too. So
I need to look at that.
So if you want to explore like new metal or new rock or new of any genre, that's one of the categories. And I've seen some videos there on some bands I've never heard of. I said, well, this is pretty cool. It's good to see that there's videos around, but you got to go look for this stuff. It's not going to be handed to us anymore like it used to be.
I can't. I guess I didn't follow them, but man, if I'll find it on Joshua's phone, because I'm sure he followed him on his Spotify, and then in the next, I'll send you a message about them. But you should check them out. They're really, really good.
And there's an all-girl band that's making waves right now too, called Plush.
Yeah.
Oh man, I thought you were gonna
Micah, some another.
Micah Formica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Man, I really think there's going to be a surge of good hard rock female.
Yeah. And they're going to be there in Florida too, so I'm excited to see them as well.
There was a band, and they actually got featured. Very surprisingly, they got featured on that Metallica playlist that just came out. I think they may have done Enter Sandman, and they're from Mexico, and they're called The Warning, and it's three sisters, bassist, drummer, guitarist, and they're fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah,
they were part of that Black Album where all these different bands covered different songs. Man, that was hard to get through, because you got to hear Enter Sandman like 9 different times.
Yeah, which I wish that they would have done it like Kiss that did that Kiss My Ass album, where they reach out to these musicians and said, okay, you can do this one, and you can do this one, and you can do this one.
Yeah, or choose the best Enter Sandman or the best Unforgiven instead of putting them all there. Because Weezer did a pretty good Enter Sandman on there.
Yes, they did. Yeah, real nerdy, real good, I think.
Real Weezer-like.
Yeah.
Didn't they also do Africa?
And in fact, that's off. They made a whole covers album. It's called the Aqua album. because their albums have.
Dude, they kicked ass on that song.
But they also do "Everybody Wants to Rule the World" by Tears for Fears, and it is fantastic.
Dude, I need to check that out because I love that song, man.
Yeah, and me
They
too.
don't belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, though.
Yeah. But a couple of songs that they tripped on. They tripped on "Paranoid" by Black Sabbath. It was too big for them, and they tripped on "Scrubs" by TLC.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Also,
LEB.
There was another band I saw, believe it or not.
That
I think is going to be good in the future. You'll never guess what I saw them open for. Hold on a second. Who was the band that opened up for 21 Pilots? We saw 21 Pilots, and there was a group that opened up for them. And man, dude, they were jamming. And all of a sudden, they were in. They were doing a portion of a Black Sabbath song, just for like 30 seconds. And then
I wonder who that was, because Molly went to go see a 21 Pilots, my wife, and they played at that Final Four for free downtown when she went to go see them. And I had family in from out of town, so I didn't go because I stayed here.
Let me see. I'll tell you.
And my wife went to go see 21 Pilots and left me here to do all the.
I like 21 Pilots. I think that Tyler Joseph, great writer, fantastic writer.
You see, and again, because with 21 Pilots, they let you know what kind of character they are and where their music comes from. Yeah. There's a lot of new bands out there that you don't know where they're coming from. At least 21 Pilots have a backstory.
You know, what's really interesting about them is I never know which backstory to believe. You ever watch a couple interviews of them? They're pretty silly. They'll tell you, they'll tell you one time they met in prison, one time they met at the corner store, whatever. He said he got arrested for loitering. But of course, none of it. I don't really know what's true, but I really like those guys. Josh Dunn, I think he's a fantastic backbone. But he doesn't take a leader role, which I think is sad because I see him being really creative.
Yeah, but their music is very interesting.
AWOL Nation.
AWOL Nation.
Yeah, it's all one word.
AWOL.
Yeah, AWOL Nation, and they were pretty cool, man. They actually rocked.
Yeah, I saw them at a Buzz Fest.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. I was impressed with them.
And they play them a lot on All Nation on XM Channel 36. Yeah. That's what's keeping a lot of this alternative rock going right now is that station.
Yeah.
And they
talk about Creed. I love Creed.
Do you really?
Yes.
And you see, I like Nickelback over Creed. I do.
I gotta go. I'm kidding. Yeah.
I'll talk to you tomorrow then. No. But I saw Nickelback several times in concert because they were touring so much, they always came to the Woodlands for almost anything.
I remember that. That was a while back.
Yeah, that was like 2000 to 2005.
Yeah.
And they were the hit. I mean, Nickelback were everywhere. They were loved, and then all of a sudden the media turned on them, and then everybody else. Well, they weren't good anyway. It's like okay.
Yeah, but it's not up to the media. It's the dummies that believe the media. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, but people follow the media.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't even, dude. You know what? I don't even have cable TV anymore. I don't watch them. I don't watch media. We just stream movies and videos, dude.
I'm trying to do that, but my mother-in-law lives with us and she loves the cable. If my mother-in-law didn't live with us, I would just be streaming everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even have cable. I mean, it's worthless to me.
Yeah.
The news is worthless to me.
Yep.
I don't pay attention because, I said this a couple months ago, and this might sound selfish, but ever since I started voting when I was 18, it doesn't matter who I vote for. My life has never changed.
Thank you very much.
Everything's been the same to me.
And it will be.
Everything.
Yep.
No one's taken away my faith. No one's taken away my anything.
And in the same regards, towards this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you know, 'cause it's not going to stop me from listening to what I love.
I know, right? I'm not gonna.
If it gets in there, it's okay because I'm still going to spin them on my phone or my records.
You know, I'm not gonna say, hey, you know what? Oh wow, thank you, Robert Rowe. Huh? Interesting. But it's not like if Judas Priest doesn't get in, I'm gonna burn all my Judas Priest records because they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Exactly. I'm never going to hear them again. You know?
Oh, Joshua! I just introduced Joshua to their version of Johnny Be Good.
Oh man, yeah. You know that dude Rob, he sings a lot like I do. It's crazy.
Man, he loved it. I told him, I said, Josh, check this out. You're gonna like this because Josh likes a lot of those high vocals.
Yeah.
And that other day, I came down the stairs and he was watching the video on TV.
Remember that was for a movie.
Yes, it was for one of the Back to the Future movies, wasn't it?
No, it was Johnny Be Good.
Oh, that's right, Johnny Be Good movie. Yeah.
Yeah, with Robert Downey Jr. and Anthony Michael Hall.
Michael Jackson?
No. I remember a geek from 16 Candles.
Yeah, that kid, man. Yeah.
Yeah. He was also Rusty on the first National Lampoon's Vacation.
Man, you know that dude was he played a nerd back in the 80s, but when Johnny Depp came out and did Edward Scissorhands, man, he was built, man. He was real buff and he was playing the shock. That was crazy. I didn't like to see that.
Yeah, I know, right? You never want these kids to change because you always want to see them the way that you really fell in love with them.
I know. When I saw Ralph Macchio on the new Karate Kid stuff, I'm like, I saw people on Facebook going, he looks good. I was like, no, he doesn't look like the Karate Kid no more.
Anyways, no, he doesn't. Hey, Josh, I got a question for you from one of the comments from Bob Rowe. He was supposed to be on podcast with us, but he's got a toothache. He wants to know if you're a Mike Patton fan.
Mike Patton?
Yeah.
Mike Pettino. I've actually never heard of him.
Yeah. He was in Faith No More. He's the lead vocalist on Faith No More.
I've heard
of a lot of different bands.
And he's kind of a newer guy coming out, right?
No, Faith No More is from the 90s
and like late 80s. Yeah. And right now he's got an album. The latest one that I know of is with Mr. Bungle. It's him with Scott Ian and Lombardo from Slayer.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, Joshua, Mike is probably asking you that because I posted the video of you and I playing Parasite, and Mike Rowe is a big time Kiss fan. He's like us. He does podcasts and whatnot, and he saw you play, and he comments in there. He's like, "That boy kicked ass" or something like that.
Yeah, and Mike Patton, he's a great vocalist of so many different voices coming from different places. He can play almost anything, but his main genre is hard rock, metal, and he's a great singer. So if you want to, why don't you look him up and listen to his stuff and let us know what you think. You know?
Yeah. I've heard of Faith No More.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of any songs that I've heard from them, but
epic. Yeah. I'll show it to you later. Okay, Drew.
All right, guys. It was nice. And again, Josh, the next time we've got a show, we would love to have you on there as well.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
All right, great, guys. Thank you out there at Facebook land. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all the comments. Everybody out there watching, I really do appreciate it. Thank y'all so much. We'll talk to y'all later and rock on, guys.
All right, rock and roll. Bye-bye.